You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market from unusual activity alerts to market analysis, strategy overviews, listener questions, and much more. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block with your host, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Media Group, and co-hosts, Uncle Mike Tosaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, along with Mark the Greasy Meatball Sebastian and Andrew the Rock Lobster Giovinazzi from OptionPit.com. Most options trading platforms are commission-free, and there are some that don't charge per-contract fees. Public.com goes a step further. When you trade options on Public, there are no commissions, no per-contract fees, and you get a rebate of up to 18 cents per contract traded. That means it costs less than $0 per transaction. In other words, instead of paying to place options trades, you literally earn money, and that money can add up fast. If you trade 1,000 option contracts on Public, you'll earn up to $180 in rebates. 10,000 contracts? Up to almost $1,200. It's pretty obvious why NerdWallet recently gave options trading on Public 5 out of 5 stars. Because Public really stands out for the cost of its options trades. Their words, not ours. If you want to start paying less than $0 to trade options, check out Public.com and get a rebate of up to 18 cents per contract traded. Paid for by Public Investing. Options not suitable for all investors and carry significant risk. Full disclosures in podcast description. U.S. members only. And now, get ready to hit the Option Block.
All right, everybody. That music means we are back once again. It is Monday. It is noon Central. It is 1 p.m. Eastern. It is time to commence operations here for our broadcast week here on the network time once again for the bi-weekly options extravaganza known around the globe as the Option Block. My name, of course, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you're having a good start to your trading week. It is a Fed week, so it should be an intriguing one. Should hopefully have a little bit of paper as a result of that at the very least. So all eyes, obviously, on that. All ears will be on the network this week. So remember, if you like what you hear, this show, anything else on the network, throw a like, a star, a comment. It does help new people discover the content out there. And if you, too, want to discover great content, like awesome pro Q&As, like options oddities, where I went deep with our buddy, the Oracle of New Hampshire, on Friday last week, and some funky paper, let's just put it mildly, out there, and all sorts of fun. You want to join Mango Lover 75, who won the Pro Trading Crate last month. You want to get your name in the hat this month. TheOptionsInsider.com/pro is the place to go to learn all about that. Or for you, yes, you, the one person who's listening, not in the front, but behind him, that person, you can go to /secret club. But that's just for you. Don't tell the guy sitting in front of you. That's not for him. All right, let's go around the horn. Actually, before we get there, it is our Monday kickoff show. So let's kick things off with some fun and high style. I am joined, of course, on the Monday episode by the rockingest of lobsters, Mr. Andrew Giovinazzi from OptionPit.com, as well as by the uncleest of Mikes, Mr. Uncle Mike Tosaw from St. Charles Wealth Management. I introduce them now, listeners, because it is time to move beyond introductions and into the realm of 80s trivia. Here we go. All right, listeners, let's see if they can make up for the absolute debacle that was last week when neither of them had any clue about Godzilla or indeed about Raymond Burr, a.k.a. Perry Mason, who featured in that film, or Godzilla 1985, which was kind of the landmark Godzilla film of the 80s. Let's fast forward to this week, shall we? See if they can redeem themselves. And we were thinking about, by the way, the totals coming into today's show. Andrew has slowly but surely clawed his way back to a respectable margin. Tosaw still winning with 6 points, 6 full points. And the Rock Lobster closing the gap with 4 full points. Can he continue to claw away, or shall Uncle Mike run away with it? Today's one, you could get some points today if you play well out there today, because we thought, what would be a good trivia question for the 80s? And we thought, so let's do it in kind of a bit of a two-parter today. First off, we'll start with the easy part first. When you think of trivia in the 80s, there was one game that stood apart. There we go. This was, like I said, the easy one.
Wow.
Mr. Rock Lobster, what is the name of the game that was synonymous with trivia in the 80s?
Trivial Pursuit.
Yes. All right. So I said that is the easy one. So Andrew gets a half point. And all right, there you go, half point. Now what we're gonna do for the full marbles, for the full point this week. So you could get a 1.5 points this week if you play your cards right. The more challenging part of the question. There were multiple colors that were synonymous with Trivial Pursuit. Indeed, 6. Mr. Rock Lobster, since you won the first question, you get to go first. Whoever names the most, I'll let you have 2 choices. You can choose the categories of the original game or the colors. Whoever can name the most correctly gets the full point.
Buzz.
Oh yeah, you're going first. You won the first one. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'll do categories.
Oh, more challenging. Okay.
Yep. Geography.
Okay.
Entertainment.
Yes, that's one of them. You have 2 now.
History.
Yes. One more and you're
literature.
over halfway and you'll win.
Literature.
Yes, arts and literature. All right, 4. All right, you got it. See if you can name the rest just for fun.
There was also kind of a miscellaneous category.
Are you referring to the orange, aka sports and leisure category?
No, shoot.
I just gave you one.
No.
That's the one I was
there was
going with.
shoot. Well,
I knew Tosaw would get orange, sports and leisure. There was one other one, Mr. Rock Lobster. Can you guess it? Just for fun. You already got the point.
Oh, dang. I can't. Shoot.
Mr. Uncle Mike, no, not for points, just for fun. Can you name the final category / color?
I don't do things for fun.
Look at you being all surly. It was science and nature.
I don't know it.
It was science and nature, aka green. So yeah, it was geography, which was blue, entertainment, which was pink, which is kind of funny, kind of gendering entertainment there. Maybe men like entertainment as well. History, yellow. Arts and literature, which was brown. Even as a kid, I thought it makes sense because of the books, but it's a horrible color. They realized that later. They changed it to purple, apparently, in later editions. Science and nature, which was green. And sports and leisure, which was orange. Did you know those, listeners? The Rock Lobster clearly did. 1.5 points. Rock Lobster roaring back. It is now anyone's ball game, 6 to 5.5. Mr. Rock Lobster coming back. We thought, what better way to do 80s trivia than with the iconic bit of 80s trivia? So there we go, listeners.
I don't know how I beat Tosaw to the Trivial Pursuit. I just had to go for it.
You had
as soon as I heard the word trivia, I just did.
I thought one of you would. Well, I thought one of you would hit it first, and you did it, Mr. Rock Lobster. Congratulations. Did you get those, listeners? Let's see what we have in store for us now. It is time for the trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the trading block.
Just making the notes there. 1.5 points for the Rock Lobster. Anyone's ball game, listeners, as we move into the second half of the year. Uncle Mike, they can't all be Patriots and 80s wrestling trivia. So we'll see if Uncle Mike, he came out swinging early in the year. Can he come back the second half? We shall find out. Clearly, Godzilla, no-go for either of them. But Trivial Pursuit, some interesting area to mine. What's going on out there in the markets today, listeners? Like I said, it is Fed week, so all eyes kind of looking a little bit farther afield this week. We, of course, have another CPI. It seems like there's a CPI number just about every week these weeks out there. But Fed is where the CPI obviously coalesces into action, so we'll keep an eye on that. Obviously, ECB cutting rates last week. A lot of people thought maybe that would set the stage for Fed this week. Then, of course, that jobs number coming in pretty hot towards the end of the week. Seems like that has really put the kibosh out there on any sort of Fed action this week. But you never know. You never know out there, listeners, what the Fed has up its sleeve. In fact, let's look really quickly over there. If you check out the FedWatch tool, listeners, it is a useful tool. If you're not familiar with it, just type CME and FedWatch into your browser of choice. And of course, as I say that, there we go. All right, so for the upcoming meeting here in June, listeners, which is just in 2 days away, yeah, we're at 99.4% that they are going to sit on their hands and do nothing. I've watched FedWatch for quite a while. I'm not sure if I've ever seen it quite that high for a probability. So that's pretty much the market saying to you, yeah, there's only a 0.6% probability of a 25-point basis cut. And everyone's even said 25 basis points ain't going to do much when you're looking at, rates close to 7%. So, yeah, it seems like the market has kind of moved past this, but we shall see. You never really can move past the Fed until you are actually past it. A long way around to saying, listeners, coming into the start of the show today, we had markets starting off kind of mixed, and they're still pretty much mixed, but maybe moving more in one direction. S&P kind of unched to up slightly. It's been a weird day for the S&P already. It was selling off. It got down to about 53.33. Then it rallied all the way up to, how high do we get? Almost 53.60. Now hanging out right around 53.5, which puts it close to unched, about up 0.05%. The Dow off about 0.2%. The NASDAQ up about 0.25%. And then our old friend IWM up about not even 1%. Actually, just ticked. Kind of ticking unched to slightly red on the day out there. So again, kind of a mixed day. The markets are kind of playing wait and see as well in terms of what the heck is going to happen out there on the Fed front. A long way around to saying VIX 1285 when we kicked off the show. That sounds familiar because it's literally unched from where we were on Thursday's show. No evolution on the VIX cash front since the Thursday show. VVIX, though, back to an 80, so firming up a little bit, up about 4 points from where we were this time last week. Mr. Rock Lobster, as our triumphant 1.5-point winner this week, we will start with you. Any enduring memories of the 80s smash sensation of Trivial Pursuit? Have at it. And then B, what is catching your eye out there in kind of a lazy start to the week?
I enjoyed playing. I enjoyed Trivial Pursuit, the 80s version. I have not requited myself very well, though, in the option block version of Trivial Pursuit, but
no, you have not, sir. But you made up for it this week.
I do like playing it. As far as what's funny is actually what's total miracle is I was on, well, besides going to Arlington, I was also on the Cape this weekend, and we did play a little Trivial Pursuit, to be honest.
Really?
So that was
so
kind
it's
of
fresh,
on the top of my
it's
mind.
Fresh in your brain.
Serendipitous.
Then. Yeah, I know somewhere in my parents' house there's like an actual 80s edition of the game, collecting dust somewhere, maybe in their attic. I would love to go get it and then try to play it with my teenage son now and see what he thinks of some of the answers to some of the questions from the 80s version of the game. It would be kind of fun, probably hilarious.
Yeah, it'd be, or he's like, or they would be like, what the heck? It'd be funny, 40 years removed, how all that stuff, how current it all is. As far as I thought today, from you have the CPI and Fed on the same day, I think because there's a holiday next week. There's the Juneteenth holiday, so the Fed decided to do their big talk a week before. So we got that going on. So the VIX settlement's a day earlier than normal. So that's one thing. So the next thing is, So this is your week probably for your VIX action, but all of the action is going to take place, or most of the action on Wednesday. So you have kind of a, the market has been kind of catapulting off of these Fed, these Fed meetings, and then what people say afterward, what the Fed says afterward. I find it interesting that the Europeans are cutting rates already. I don't think I've ever said this before, but I think the U.S. is spending way more money. The government is, the current administration, and maybe even the last administration to a large degree. I don't think they found a federal dollar that they can't spend yet. And new and inventive ways of doing so. So I think many of these inflation fears would go away if they said, we're going to freeze spending for the next 10 years, or even let's try, because I don't see the reason why the current budget has to be 40% above what it was at the beginning of 2020. And I think that's the problem. It's not a revenue issue, it's a spending issue. Apparently our politicians still, they don't take economics classes. They don't balance checkbooks. They don't do anything that any normal person would do, apparently, meaning anybody else that's a citizen of the country. So until they get that under control, it's going to be very hard, one, for the government to sell bonds, and number two, for the Fed to lower rates. So I think that's where we find ourselves still. And if there is if there's things that are derailing the AI rally, because Nvidia is up $2 today after a 10-for-1 split, which normally after a split these stocks kind of sell off, and it did this morning. But I have to say, I'm going to say the Nvidia story is not done. At least the way I look at it, just looking at how vol's trading. So as crazy as it is, things can go higher. So I think that's like sort of where we find ourselves. So we're on a week where stocks are pretty much close to all-time highs. I don't know if Mike can say his famous line yet. I don't want to take his thunder away for him. But it's feeling kind of like a big spot. Certainly the Q, semiconductors as well. So a big part of the market wants to believe in the future of AI and the massive potential, even for robots, for doing all kinds of stuff. Who knows? It could be huge, 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 right? Who knows? We'll be in 40 years. Although I'm not going to get the same burial that my dad did. I'll get one in some, grave somewhere in Maine. But we'll see, and I think there's huge, nobody would have predicted what would happen with the internet 20 years ago or 25 years ago, where we are now. And I'm probably pretty sure that nobody's going to be able to really accurately predict where AI takes us in the future. So there's that huge new potential, right, which Wall Street is great at selling. And I think that is still powering the market. It is powering semiconductors. I think semiconductors are, the only thing I can see is there's endless need for them. It's hard to believe, the planet has endless need for food, and it seems like they're going to have endless need for semiconductors. So, and that's where we find ourselves. So you can have a bull case when you have technology like that, and we could also see valuations go to who knows where. So just, as much as high as the market is, I think there are at least good reasons for people to be giddy, the ridiculous and unnecessary spending by the federal government aside.
No one could have predicted the web back then. Certainly not Bill Gates. He wrote in his famous book, The Road Ahead, he doesn't even discuss the web, really, in 1995, which turned out to be, of course, the biggest thing that happened in technology immediately after 1995. So Bill Gates swing and a miss on that one. So maybe you're right. Maybe folks are over or perhaps underselling AI out there. But who knows? Everyone's obsessed with it. So clearly some folks are on that train. But always kind of funny to me that his legendary book, The Road Ahead, doesn't even talk about the web, which was the technological road ahead. But I digress. Let's go out to the land of the unclest of Mike's, where he's always looking down the road ahead. We can start, Uncle Mike, if you're not too grumpy from your whooping this week. If you have any thoughts on the legendary 80s trivia game known as Trivial Pursuit, have at it. What was your favorite color, if anything? And then B, what's catching your eye out there in a kind of sluggish start to the week?
Well, my only memory of Trivial Pursuit, I can remember being in, like second or third grade on vacation. And my parents and some of their friends were playing Trivial Pursuit, and they let me be the dice roller. That was the coolest thing ever for me. So Trivial Pursuit's a little bit before my time, but hey, Rock Lobster's catching me. I gotta get on the stick. I mean, this is no good, him being within a half point of me.
He's breathing down your neck. You could see him in the rearview mirror, and we always know objects are larger than they appear, Mr. Uncle Mike.
No doubt about that.
Well, you know, when the ice caps are starting to form in hell, that I'm getting close to Tosaw in any kind of one of these trivia style games.
Well, I know a lot about what I know a lot about, but what I don't know, I really don't know, as we're seeing right now.
You go big in a handful of categories.
I really do, and I'm running out of categories. That's the problem.
I like tangling with Tosaw and wrestling was like knowing you're just going to get kicked in the teeth every time. It was brutal, but I went in anyway, head first.
You did.
Wait till next week's deep dive on woodworking trivia.
Oh boy, looks like you're taking the lead next week, Andrew. Well, and looking at this market today, rightfully so. Just looking at the straddle on like the IEFs and the TLTs and some of the bond ETFs, it's really not that much. Doesn't look like the bond market's expecting much more than a meh on Wednesday in terms of rates, but we'll see. You never know. Stranger things have happened, but this one would be 0.6 probability or whatever Mark said at the beginning of the show, so we'll see. With that, silver's off to a lot of buyers coming in today, and it continues. It won't go away. It stays in the high 20s. And looking at silver, we still got to break through that 30 mark before we get any further, but it continues to give it a shot. 10-for-1 split with Nvidia. That is up $2 on the day. It's just weird seeing Nvidia only up $2 when that would have been up $20 last week. But nonetheless, it's still up significantly percentage-wise, having a good day today for what it's doing. Some other names that are sticking out to me, Amazon's up roughly 1% on the day. We have Facebook approaching the 500 mark. It actually was above 500 for a little bit today. Microsoft's up 0.5%. So we're getting some names that are doing some things, but we're not really getting a broad market rally by any means. So it definitely looks like we're just kind of waiting and seeing, and traders are probably just sitting around the pits playing Trivial Pursuit for a couple days.
Traders good at the arts, or I should say the sports and leisure category, not so good on some of the others. I would wager out there. As we keep on rolling, let's keep going out to the markets. Let's see what's going on. As we mentioned, Nvidia kind of dominating the tape. We were running the numbers earlier this morning. It's kind of hard to find any prints outside of Nvidia. Nvidia's just sucking up all the oxygen in the room. What oxygen there is today, we've kind of referred to Nvidia only half jokingly as a vampire before. It does seem like it's having that effect today. It is sucking all the volume out of everything else because most of the major indices, a lot of the other names, not really doing a lot of paper except for them. Let's go out to VIX, where we like to start. Kind of a sleepy start to the week there, just barely north of 250,000 contracts. 264 on the tape right now, the ADBE 830 listeners. So kind of a sluggish start to the week out there in VIX land. Will things pick up? I guess we'll find out. SPY looking asleep at the wheel, 3.3 million. That's fully a million below where we expect SPY to be this time of day. So I think people are playing Trivial Pursuit in the pits right now. Either way, the ADV is 6.89 million. Seems like a long road ahead to reach that, but I suppose things can happen out there. SPX also 1.3 million contracts on the tape, so kind of a light day out there as well. We expect it to be about 1.75 million right now. The ADV 2.8. Can it hit that today? Doesn't seem like it, but we shall see. Small caps leading the dance this week. 847,000 contracts, so they are within striking distance of their ADV, which is 1.02 million out there right now. So small caps on the old rampage. And the Qs also kind of asleep at the switch. 1.6 million. Usually we expect them north of 2, probably around 2.2 million right now. So quite a ways below that. Their ADV is 3.23, so they're still about halfway there. Again, Qs are a weird beast. They do lie and shear their paper, it seems like, in the morning, and then they gently drift the rest of the way the second half of the session. We have to do some drifting today to make that about 3.25 million ADV. Let's go out to single name, see what's lighting it up out there today, listeners. Let's kick it off with number 10. Only cost you $151,000. Again, that's what I'm talking about before, that kind of vampire Nvidia effect. It is sucking up all the paper. $151. That is like dog days of August or even mid to late December kind of volume. That is nothing. And that gets us to our old friend, and by old friend, I mean a name we don't see in the top 10 really ever. This is CrowdStrike Holdings, Inc. Ticker symbol CRWD. You know it's a slight and light day out there, listeners, when CrowdStrike is making it into the top 10 most active today. This is a cybersecurity firm. 379 and 2/3, up 30.5 bucks, or nearly 9% today. So a nice pop out there. They're going to be rolled into the S&P 500. That's usually good for a little bit of action, and that is what's happening out there today. CrowdStrike, number 10, 151,000 contracts on the tape out there, listeners. Number 9, the artist formerly known as Facebook, 498.34. Uncle Mike said they did kiss 500, and he's right. They hit 502.5 just about an hour ago, giving that back now to 498 1/3. Still up 540, or a little over 1%. Again, to me, in my mind, Facebook is still the name that blew through 100 in the other direction not that long ago. So this rally to 500 has been nothing short of amazing out there. Number 9, 176,000. You cut some jobs and bam, just turned on a dime out there. Impressive. Number 9, 176. The street likes themselves a good layoff. Number 8. Let's go out to the name that was the subject. I should say half of the subject of our question of the week last week. This is Palantir. 22.88, off about a 40 odd cents, or nearly 2% today. Good for 207,000 contracts, and the number 8 overall spot out there, listeners. On number 7, we're going to the land of the Dow. In particular, it's the Amazonians. This is where we kick off our A-Tech streak this week. Listen, number 7, the Amazonians, 261,000. So all the way up to number 7, we're barely north of 250,000 contracts. Amazon, 186.12, up $1.82, or almost exactly 1% today. Good for the number 7 spot out there. Number 6, keeping it in the A-Tech names. This is not A-Tech. This is just a nonsense name, I suppose. A meme name, AMC. 467, off about a quarter, about 5% out there today. Of course, a lot of these meme names taking a bit of a shellacking post the whole Roaring Kitty, call it what you will, live stream fiasco, whatever you want to call it, out there on Friday out there. But no joy out there. Number 6, 265,000 contracts on the tape for AMC. And again, if you like A names, we got more coming for you. It's AMD. Number 5, 517,000 contracts over there, listeners. And indeed, the number 5 spot out there. AMD today, listeners, 160, a little bit shy of 161, 160.93, off about nearly $7 today, a little over 4%. So apparently all this Nvidia love, no bueno for AMD. They got as low as about 160 before rallying high out there. Morgan Stanley cut AMD to neutral. Wow. Yeah, how dare they downgrade an AI name? My goodness, is that even legal? They should be investigated by the SEC. Out there. Either way, listeners, wow, you don't see a lot of downgrades for these names these days. But AMD feeling it, 517,000 contracts, and the number 5 spot. Number 4, I can't recall the last time I've seen this name this low, listeners. Kind of shows you kind of weird territory we're in today. This is Tesla. Yes, I said Tesla all the way down at number 4. I was kind of joking, but only half joking last week. I said, has Nvidia kind of taken the throne for good now? Well, today's number certainly isn't an argument in favor of Tesla. Tesla, number 4, Only 613,000. Usually we expect at least 2x that this time of day. So Tesla, again, that kind of vampire Nvidia effect. All this volume is just vanishing and going to the number one spot. You'll see in a second when we get there. Number 4, Tesla, 613,000, 174.60, off nearly $3, about $2.90 right now. So about 1.6%, and good for a whole heck of a lot of nothing. They're still fighting over that pay package, $50 billion with a B out there, and the market not liking what they're seeing out there today. Number 3, it's the fruit company. So hopefully you like yourself some A-tech names, because we got more for you. It's Apple. 660 on the tape, 194.85, selling off $2. They were getting within spitting distance. 197.30 was the high today. They were just a couple of bucks away, listeners, from that all-time high. So that stock buyback, at least so far, has been a winner chicken dinner for them. Long term remains to be seen. They, of course, have their AI strategy coming out, WWDC. People expect them to go heavy into AI. Will it be enough? Apple traditionally has been a buy the rumor, sell the fact kind of name, so maybe we're seeing some of that right now as well. Either way, Apple number 3, 660 on the tape. Number 2, back to the land of the memes, listeners. It's everyone's favorite roaring GameStop, aka GameStop. 804,000 contracts on the tape. 24 1/3, off nearly $4, or about 14% today. Do we dare, listeners, do we dare look to see what the hot trades are out there in game? I mean, 804,000 contracts. It's a lot of paper. The big dog today, 38,000 of the June 20 puts expiring this week. So those look like, at least so far, a winner. Again, if you paid 1,200 vol like the meatball did last week for his 25 puts. His 25 puts, by the way, looking pretty good. Unfortunately, I do believe they expired on Friday. So that 1,200 vol, I think you paid 90 cents. They were, what, $5-10 out of the money with like a little bit time to go. Shows you how bonkers the vol is out there, listeners. These June 20 puts, they may have a chance. Let's see. I gotta wager people are probably buying these. They traded from prices, looks like around, someone got them for 24 cents. That's a more, I won't say realistic. That's only a 210 vol as compared to some of these other prints. They traded as high as, looks like 96 cents this morning. So if you paid nearly $1 for those, you're probably going to be hurting. But you never know. GameStop can move 4 handles at a clip. So we shall see out there right now. Prices ranging from 24 to about 95, 96 cents out there. So intriguing stuff for those puts. Number 2, GameStop, 804. And you don't need me to tell you what the big dog is, but you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. It's Nvidia, 3.67 million contracts. So that's Nvidia's usual volume, plus throw in a Tesla for good measure, and then maybe throw in, let's say, an Apple and an AMD, and maybe a smattering of a couple of others from the bottom half. That would all equate to about 3.67 million. There are days our entire top 10 is not doing 3.67 million. So that is some paper. Also, just for good measure, also going XDiv. So it's kind of a embarrassment of riches on the Nvidia volume side. I was looking at some of the scans this morning, and it is impossible in the single name land to find almost anything else other than Nvidia prints. They are everywhere. The big dog, 115,000 of the June expiring this week, 120 calls. These are now $2 in the money. And then we have the 130s behind that for 106,000. And then we have the 120 put. So that 120 strike, obviously pretty popular. It's pretty much the at-the-money strike. 105,000 of those bad boys. And then number 4, we have 102,000 of the June 115s. And then rounding out the top 5 today, so you're talking over 500,000, nearly 600,000 contract. Actually, more than 600,000, because number 5 is 99,000. This gets us to the June 113s. Those are pretty rich right now, I would think. Again, it's X divs. That's probably why you're seeing in the money calls going up, listeners out there. So a lot of converging forces getting together today to drive the paper. You have the split and you have X div, but still, man, that is a lot of paper. That looks like VIX numbers on a good day in terms of active positions and strikes out there. So, wow, that's some size paper. 1, 2, 3, 4. You got the top 5. You're about a little over 600,000 contracts just in the top 5 contracts alone. So that is some paper out there. Total of nearly 3.7 million on the tape for Nvidia. At least for today, it is Nvidia's game. We are all just living in it. We are still look, keeping an eye on earnings season. It may sound crazy, but there's some stuff still popping off, including Oracle after the bell on Tuesday. They're always late to the game on earnings season. If you like some floral prints, and how about Vera Bradley before the bell on Wednesday? Wednesday, you got Adobe on Thursday. So you still got some names popping off. Dave & Buster's, Broadcom also on Wednesday. Luckily for you, because we like you folks, we're still crunching the numbers for you completely for free. Oracle popping off on the 11th. They were at almost 126 when we ran this report this morning, 125.92. In the past, they moved 832. Right now, they're pricing in 875. So a little bit of extra juice. And given how we've seen this season play out, it's hard to argue against that. Dave & Buster's, 12th after the bell, 48.89 is where they were trading. In the past, interesting, they moved $3.82, so not much. Right now, they're pricing in $5.64, so nearly $2, about $1.82 worth of extra juice in Dave & Buster's. Is that merited? That's a lot of juice. But then again, this cycle has been all about buying the vol. Adobe, 13th after the bell, 465.43 is where they were trading. In the past, they moved $24.61. Right now, they're pricing in $31.04. So extra juice across the board. It's just a question of how much you want, listeners, because it's available there for you. And you can't fault it. The season hanging out 117% right now. So buying juice has been the trade of the cycle. But what's the trade of the day? I don't know. Let's find out, listeners. It's time for the Odd Block.
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by theoptionsinsider.com. It's time for the Odd Block.
Mr. Rock Lobster, it kind of is an embarrassment of riches on the Nvidia front. So I think we're going to skip the deep in the muddy Nvidia div plays. If that's okay with you, sir.
That is fine. Is that what it is? Nvidia deep in the money div plays?
I just read out the top 5 out there, and there is your usual out of the money smattering, but there's also, we're at 122, almost 123 right now. We got the 113s trading out there today and some other stuff. So I have to assume that is div related. It could be stock replacement or something else as well, but it is ex-div today as well, so that's kind of gumming up the work. So it's even more crazy active than Nvidia would normally be after a 10-for-1 split. So instead,
let's see here. So the dividend is like a penny.
Yeah, exactly. Got to capture that bad boy.
I mean, are they going to do doing all that for a penny? Well,
let's move 100,000 contracts to capture a penny.
I mean, you got Nvidia. I guess you could exercise the 99s, the 100s, something can't. Wow. Like, was the dividend really down to a penny? Because they're paying 3 cents for the June 14 par puts. My only guess is that, because the liquidity provider could have, they could have some dividend there. I'm sorry, some gamma issues, because your position gamma goes up, 10 squares, so 100 times. So if you're short 1,000 gamma going into this, you're short 100,000 gamma today. So which would matter? Everybody says, oh, the vol's the same. Yeah, well, it's a 40 volatility stock. If you came in short, 100 gamma and now you're short 10,000 gamma. I mean, it might matter a little bit for how the stock swings around a bit.
Let's a gamma explosion amongst friends, Mr. Rock Lobster out there.
What is a small yes? I know I've got an argument with people on this before. I go, just let's put it this way. If you've never been through a 10-for-1 split before in short gamma, and you're saying it doesn't make a difference, I invite you to go give it a try, and then you tell me after. You go sell some straddles and see if you're not playing the whipsaw unhappy game for a while. But, I guess there's people with no experience on Twitter that have really experienced that can tell me how it trades.
Shocking. People know.
Shocking. I am shocked,
Twitter.
Sir.
A 30-second TikTok video is not enough to encapsulate all of the nuance of the Nvidia 10. Are you implying that, Mr. Rock Lobster? How dare you?
Exactly. How dare I?
How dare you, sir?
I? You silly fool.
Let's pump the brakes on all this Nvidia madness. Let's pump the brakes in general, listeners. Let's go out to the sexy world of bank puts, Mr. Rock Lobster. How about that? That
sounds good. Let's bank on over.
This is the one print we could find that wasn't Nvidia today. We did some digging, listeners. Let's go out to Key Corp. Ticker symbol KEY, K-E-Y. You know them. They're kind of the parent company for Key Bank out there, trading $13.70, off about a quarter today, about 1.6%. So kind of a weak day today for them. On the year, though, a good year. They're trading about 10 and a quarter a year ago, so up around $3.50, a little over 34%. So a good year for them. Rallying into the teeth of all this madness with rates, kind of interesting out there. Again, this has been a weird market. So what do we find out there today, listeners? And looks like somebody is maybe feeling a little bit of the old spookage, to use a technical term out there, coming in this morning and scooping some puts on the 13 strike, 14,217 to be precise. These are not traditional monthly June. They go out on the 28th. So they're going out. These are pretty much end of month June puts out there. They paid 20 cents. Are pretty close to lifting the offer for these bad boys. Again, the stock was actually a little bit lower, $13.60. So they are failing the first Rock Lobster test, but not by much out there. Let's look here. No earnings. Earnings are on July 18th. So this is not an earnings hedge. This just seems like a very near-dated hedge, maybe against, well, it's going out the end of the month. So you're getting a few weeks on this. Maybe against the Fed losing their minds, Mr. Rock Lobster. What are your thoughts on these pretty sizable puts here in Key Corp?
Kind of interesting one. They're still at 20 though. They're 19.20 now.
Well, the stock has rallied a little bit.
Yeah. But normally when you would sell them, you would never be in a rush to offer them back. Like the best thing is you just leave them offered at 25 cents and try to sell them a nickel higher with the stock $1 higher.
Yeah, they don't seem to be scared about selling more. That is true.
So this is a little odd in that way for me, but yeah, I think there could be, Key is paying an 80-cent a year dividend, so I don't know. I mean, this regional bank thing with the Fed jacking rates, it's hard to believe what's right or what's wrong on the whole thing. I guess since you can't mark bonds down like you did mortgage-backed securities in 2008, that, it doesn't matter. And then, the government will pay you back all your money and everything will be just hunky-dory. So curious. I don't think it's an unreasonable put purchase, but you're going to need a lot of help from the stock to get these to pay. I mean, the stock was just 1440. It was just trading, 1350. What would you need? You would need a 1-year low to really drag some money out of these puts. I mean, I'm not saying it can't happen. Yeah, you would need to get through the lows of December. I mean, it could happen, I guess. I think it's a tough one to pay.
Yeah, and it's strange. They go all the way out to the end of the month, but they don't push it a little bit farther out to July to get the July earning. If you're going to buy these puts, you might as well go through the July earnings. But they don't. They just want end of month June for whatever reason. So the structure a little weird, the timing weird, all of it kind of weird, which again is why it's in the odd block. And also because it's not Nvidia today, which is also nice. Let's go back. Let's pay off some other trades we've had on the docket for a while. Our docket is deep, listeners, on the odd block. Let's go out to Avantor. This is the biotech pharmaceutical company. AVTR is the ticker. We talked about it back on the April 29th show. We talked about a couple of blocks of puts going up almost the exact same size, not as a spread, but about an hour apart. So it's one of those kind of looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck. The weird thing was it wasn't a roll. First blush looks like a roll, but they were opening on both. So looked like paper was just coming in and doing the old Uncle Mike favorite, the time stupid, perhaps. Again, we don't know for sure on the first leg. We first noticed 18,270 of the May 23 puts going up for 15 cents. Exactly mid-market. So you see that kind of thing, you might be, okay, that's probably maybe they're closing and they're going to roll those out because the next leg we saw was about less than an hour later, and almost the exact same size, 18,160 of the June 23 puts expiring last Friday on the 7th. Those went up for a quarter, so I thought, it took off the May puts, 15 cents, reestablished a week and change later, 25 cents. It makes some sense. It's just a roll. But you go back and dig and say, wait a minute, it's opening on both. So time stupid, perhaps, listeners, and they couldn't decide which date they really wanted to hedge, so they took a piece of both. Either way, if that was the case, then it didn't really work out on either of them. It depends. If we're looking at them, let me see, the second leg was, so they could have, you know what, they could have been, now it was opening on both though, because I say they could have been, maybe it was a short, it looks like in the second leg it might have been more of a premium harvest. So in which case, it could have worked out. Avantor, closed at $25 pretty much on May expiration out there. So that one, if they sold those puts, are looking pretty good. They made about $275 on that trade. Those puts were still open. The second leg obviously went out last Friday. They went up for 25 cents when the stock was $24.41. The stock went out at pretty much $24 exactly, $24.01 to be precise. Those puts were also still open, so 23 puts for a quarter. If they sold them, that worked out as well. So if they did sell both, that's about $650, $725 they made on both legs. Again, they didn't go up as a spread, but they kind of look like a duck and they quack like a duck. I don't know, Mr. Rock Lobster, seems like they skated on these Avantor puts if they sold them and maybe made some money in the process.
Possible. So I'm looking at these, the 23 puts. I'm showing the June 21s are open 19,000. And then I also saw the June 28 23 puts 21,000. So they did a whole, are hard to tell what they're doing. So they're trying it again.
I guess they're back to play for more. They made money the first time.
For another one. So maybe they're just, obviously those May puts went out worthless. And so maybe they're just trying to buy a sell, but kind of a weird one, I guess. So June 7, I mean, I guess that is an odd short put trade. To be quite honest, that's a very interesting way to make a dime, I guess. That's all I can say.
The strikes are weird. The timing is weird. The stock's been all over the place. 16.63 on the low, 26.16 on the high. It is a biotech after all, listeners. So
it looks like they're trying to do it again.
Yeah, apparently they're back out again. We'll have to go look and see what
they had so much fun making their dime. They want to make another one.
They loved it so much they want to dive back in again. And you always love it, listeners. So it's Monday. It is time for the strategy block.
It's time to dispense options, wit, wisdom, and education. It's time for the strategy block.
All right, Mr. Uncle Mike, have at it, sir. The floor is yours. All Trivial Pursuit Monday edition of the strategy block. Go.
All right, all Trivial Pursuit. Well, what I want to talk to everyone about today is that there's a strategy that's becoming very popular again. And I remember when I first got into the business, you'd talk about this strategy, and the only reason you'd talk about it is because it was a good strategy for a beginning option trader to learn about. But now it's becoming extremely popular again, and that is the covered call. What I want to talk about today is why would you do it? And the reason is that you, in my opinion, you need to do it as a separate asset class. See, what happens oftentimes is people will do a covered call, and then they'll say, oh, well, I don't like it because the stock goes way up. I'd have been better off just holding the stock. Well, a lot of times that is the case. But when the stock goes down, you're better off in the covered call. Reason being, you get to collect the premium. In a sideways market, you're better off in the covered call. See, the problem with the covered call is that too many people view it, or let me rephrase this. The problem with the perception of the covered call is that too many people view it in such a way to where you're trying to compare it to the market. It's like comparing apples and oranges. In a bull market, the covered call is going to get crushed. In a sideways market, the covered call is going to kill it. And in a bear market, the covered call could be profitable, depending on how bearish the market is, or it could be not quite as bad.
And so I think what's important is if you look at it as a separate asset class, it's something that can be very beneficial to a lot of portfolios. Now, what way can you use the tool? One of my favorite ways of using the covered call tool is to prevent something called sequence of return risk. Meaning, let's say that you're newly retired and you have a portfolio full of stocks, and let's just say you went all stocks right when you retired. I wouldn't recommend that, but let's just say you did. If you have to take money out in a down market in the first couple of years of your retirement to pay your grocery bills or just to live off of, you're going to get killed. What a covered call does is it can be a way with which to provide income and still give you a way with which to have something to help prevent you against sequence of return risk. Let's say you make 10% off of your covered calls over the course of the year. Well, your stocks go down, but you still get that premium no matter what. Now, granted, you're going to have to reallocate at the end of the year. There's going to be different things you'll have to do. But the point is that stock goes up, stock goes down, no matter what. The covered call premium stays in your pocket. And if you'd like to learn more about this, I will be doing a webinar tomorrow night. Follow me on Twitter to sign up for the webinar.
There you go, listeners. Check it out as we keep on rolling and go around the block.
It's time to tell you what we'll be watching on our trading screens until the next episode. It's time for Around the Block.
All right, listeners, let's go around the block. Tell you what we're keeping an eye on here. Really quickly, I was looking when Uncle Mike was talking, and Rock Lobster is right. Someone is still open for size on a lot of these puts in Avantor. 21,000 of the June 23 puts expiring on the 28th, so again, end of month. 20,000 of the 23 puts expiring monthly July, 19,500 of the 23 puts expiring June 21st, and 19,400 of them expiring 23 puts this week. So that 23 strike, they got it just lit up across the board. Most of those look like they were sales. So size short puts on the 23 strike across the board in Avantor are going all the way out to July expiration. So somebody drawing a very sizable line in the sand out there. In terms of you folks making your choices for things, we asked you last week, fun kind of post truncated holiday week question of the week, a little stock picking. Palantir and Robinhood were both trading around $21. Which one would you rather buy right now? Palantir took it 47.8% for number one. Robinhood coming in number two out there. Robinhood not in our top 10 today, which is interesting, but Palantir was. Palantir 47.8% for number one. Hood 30.4% for number two. Hood 23.38 right now. Palantir 22.96. So Hood the winner right now, at least in terms of short-term performance. 15.2% of you said you'd rather trade vol, and 6.5% say you're out on both. This week, our question is a pretty straightforward one. Very simple. Should the Fed cut rates this week? Yes or no? Right now, you folks are taking no all the way, throwing yes out to the cleaners, taking it out to the woodshed out there. Oh, it just ticked as I talk. Sure. Yes, ticking up a little bit more. We're at exactly 2/3 for no right now. Yes, 1/3 out there. Question of the week live right now. Get your votes in. Our pro member, Agent Delacour, is saying, should they? Yes. Will they? Unfortunately, no. We may have to wait until after the election. And, you agree, listeners? Should they? Should they not? Get over there at options on Twitter to make your voice heard. Mr. Rock Lobster, I know how you feel in our polls. I won't bore our audience about asking your thoughts. Instead, we'll ask you, what are you keeping an eye on until the Thursday show?
Well, we have a unique day, Wednesday, where a CPI number and the FOMC spouts, with like kind of a, I just saw like gold kind of been cratering over the last couple of weeks, although maybe it's making a little bit of a rebound here lately. But I don't think the Fed can do very much. They're going to hold the line, and CPI will come out, at or maybe a little warm, and where it's kind of where we are until the government stops spending. So I think that's like, those are the two biggest things. I mean, Nvidia, I thought would be more of a sort of sell the news. But no, at least people are, even at $3 trillion market valuation, you can talk about valuation all you want. Nobody cares. I find it, it is, let's see. I always like looking at the revenue number. They make money. $80 billion, but that's 80 billion revenue. But again, net income is still a big, big number for them. A very profitable company. And they are a money spinning machine for the foreseeable future. So I still think, again, as an investor, there's things you can go to, like, utilities, energy generation, all that kind of stuff. We're going to need oil and gas to make all these AI plants work in the short term. There's no way around it. So there are other ways to make money if you missed out on the 3x of Nvidia since last year. But again, it's not a stock that I would get in the way of at all. I've only participated in it owning some SMH, not any direct Nvidia shares, sadly. So anyway, but people are still buying it, and they're, like I said, they're buying all semiconductors. So because AI will gobble every semiconductor on the planet, apparently. So again, just watch it go up and enjoy the ride being long while it lasts.
There you go, Mr. Uncle Mike, sir. Same question for you. What are you keeping an eye on? And since we're coming up against it, where should folks go if they want more Uncle Mike goodness in their lives?
Keeping an eye to see if we can get the 20 points back to make an all-time high in the S&P when the Fed pauses this week. I think they should lower rates, but hey, that's just me. But I think the government should have spending too, so maybe they shouldn't. Who knows? If you are looking to go to my webinar, follow me on Twitter at Mike Tosaw, Tosaw, to find a link to my webinar Tuesday night. We'll be talking about the cover call. Thank you, everybody.
And Mr. Rock Lobster, really quickly, if folks want more Rock Lobster goodness in their lives, where should they go? What should they do?
Yeah, go to Option Pit University. Go to our website, where I'm on a busy building the greatest content library ever for trading options. It will eventually encompass all subjects. And also, if you want our live stuff and do live trades and have alerts and all that kind of stuff and learn how to trade more in real time, more swing trading style at Option Pit, come and give us a holler. 888-TRADE-01. You get 10% off anything. If you said, hey, I came from this show, you get 10% off. There you go. Something for nothing.
There you go. Something for nothing indeed. And if you want to get a little something back on your options trading, check out our friends over there at Public.com, the place to go to kick the tires and light the fire. They want your feedback. They're on the show like this and a network like this for a reason. They want to talk to the uber savvy options customer out there. So head on over there, kick the tires and light the fires. Tell them what you like. Tell them we sent you. That'll go a big way towards supporting the network. And also tell them what you don't like out there, what you'd like to see them add. That kind of feedback is always valuable for new players in the game. They want to learn from you folks. That's why they're here. Head on over there at Public and give them the benefit of your wisdom. That's going to do it for us on the old OB today. Back again in a little bit, though. Not done on the network, not by a long shot. Back on the crypto rundown, back with our friend, Mr. Bill. Let's see what he's got up his sleeve out there. Oh, he's got some fun altcoin. He's been all in on the ETH Classic of late, all kinds of stuff. We'll see what he's got up his sleeve on the crypto rundown. Coming up in a little bit, listeners. Then we're back with our usual array of content throughout the week, listeners, including we've got our buddy from Ballviews a few weeks ago, Mr. Steve Sosnick, coming on the Pro Q&A tomorrow to tackle your questions. You want more? TheOptionsInsider.com/pro is the place to go participate in that. Wednesday, of course, Options Boot Camp before we're back again on Thursday, another episode of the Option Block. Stay safe out there, everybody.
Most options trading platforms are commission-free, and there are some that don't charge per-contract fees. Public.com goes a step further. When you trade options on Public, there are no commissions, no per-contract fees, and you get a rebate of up to 18 cents per contract traded. That means it costs less than $0 per transaction. In other words, instead of paying to place options trades, you literally earn money, and that money can add up fast. If you trade 1,000 option contracts on Public, you'll earn up to $180 in rebates. 10,000 contracts? Up to almost $1,200. It's pretty obvious why NerdWallet recently gave options trading on Public 5 out of 5 stars. Because Public really stands out for the cost of its options trades. Their words, not ours. If you want to start paying less than $0 to trade options, check out public.com and get a rebate of up to 18 cents per contract traded. Paid for by Public Investing. Options not suitable for all investors and carry significant risk. Full disclosures in podcast description. U.S. members only. You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.